if you want to be a high value man, if you want to get to that apex level as fast as you can, that's it. How is that not the best way to go about it? Okay. So the point of that whole tweet, which was basically a throwaway tweet that everyone started like snowballing into something else. I've got Ben Shapiro coming at me. I got Matt Walsh coming at me. I got Lauren Chen coming at me. I got all.
You see the lack of accountability there. This guy's called the godfather of the red pill. If you put some shit out there, what do you think people are going to do with it? You're the face. You're the head. If there was a table, you'd sit in the middle of it. If you're there saying some shit, what do you think your disciples are going to think? You have a responsibility to not tweet dumb shit if you don't think that it's just, if you think it's throwaway, but you're right, and here's 8 ways to become high value as quick as possible. What do you think a 20-year-old is going to think when he sees that? If you're somebody that he looks up to and respects. Of course, Matt Walsh. Of course, Ben Shapiro. Of course, Lauren Chen came at you. You deserve it. You talk about taking accountability when it comes to all these girls, and then what? You write some dumb shit about getting a vasectomy for 20-year-olds and you just want to call it a throwaway tweet.
All these people off of Daily Wire because it was just easy, low-hanging fruit for these guys because they think that that's what the fucking manosphere is all about. And it's not, okay? That was not fucking advice. Everything that is on Twitter is not advice, okay?
Was that a joke?
No, it was not necessarily a joke, but it's like, let's just say it's a hypothetical, okay? It's showing you. Now, listen, fuck up for just fucking 5 seconds, okay? This is no fucking joke here because everything that's come out of both of you guys' mouth has.
Look at this. They talk about being stoic, right? They talk about keeping your emotions in check. The minute you check them on some shit, look, this is the guy. This is the guy at the top. Is this your leader? This is the king. And he's getting pressed by what, Sneako, a 20-year-old, calling him out on his bullshit.
It's been nothing but distraction and misdirection because it's easy fucking clicks for you. So here's the whole thing. When I'm talking about get a vasectomy, don't be concerned with.
I like when he's mad, his glasses get uneven on his nose. You see?
Let him finish. Okay. I'm really mad about this, bro.
Shall we keep going? Are we just gonna have jokes thrown in here?
Really heated about this.
Is that what I get to? Is that what I get to do it? Okay. So here's the deal. When I'm talking about this, when I'm throwing this out there, why wouldn't you do that? Would you not have been more successful, Sneako, had you not had to go through certain things? If you had a kid right now,
advice or not?
You would be playing the game with a handicap. You would be playing the game with your fucking hands tied behind your back.
Okay, so
there are guys right now who I have a lot of respect for, and I'm sure you have a lot of respect for as well, who all have kids, but you know what they try to do? Try to keep it under wraps.
Okay,
so nobody knows about the fucking kids. Okay.
What is advice?
So here's okay. First off, this is not fucking advice. Everything that is on my show or is on Twitter is not automatically advice. Now, but here's the thing. You know what you're gonna say because here's the deal. When I was on whatever podcast I was telling this, I was saying exactly the same thing here. Is that everything that comes out of somebody's mouth on Instagram or on Twitter or on a YouTube, there's no way you can't go on there without somebody going, this is what these guys are saying to do. Because if you have this set automatically, that if it comes out of your mouth, it's automatically advice. It can't just be data. It can't just be statistics. It can't be, nothing can be just delivered. Sort of like, here's some data for you to look at. Okay.
Where was the data in what you said? You didn't provide any data. There was no statistics. There was no empirical studies. No links, nothing. You wrote eight things that a man can do in his 20s to become high value. That is advice.
It is advice. Yeah, I don't know how he's saying it's not advice.
Just accept it. Just accept it. You know, we did that video and I was telling guys, I don't care what your excuses are, go to the gym. What am I doing there?
That's you giving advice.
I made a whole bunch of points in that video about why you should go to the gym even if you don't feel like it. That's me giving you advice. Now, I don't have the platform that Rollo does. Rollo is the godfather of the red pill. If anyone's calling you the godfather of anything, you got some responsibility. But even then, we got 4,000 subscribers. If I start saying some wacky shit, even if one of them listens to it, I have some responsibility. When you go on a public platform, you amass followers, you amass people that are going to listen to what you're saying, or at least they're going to turn on your show. You could influence somebody's decision. And it's fine. You can do that if you want, but don't pretend like it's not advice. You're 100% giving advice. You gave shitty advice. And your own community called you out on it, and now you don't like it. This is the same thing you do to these girls.
Nothing can be set. Nothing can be given to you without somebody going, well, the reason why you're telling me this is because you're telling me that this is the best way to live my life. Okay. So when I'm watching Brendan Carter and I'm watching all this going on, and I'm looking at like guys that I know and guys that you know as well, And when these are the guys who are like saying, be on your game, do this, do that. They're the ones that are giving this advice. All I'm doing is saying, hey, look, maybe you should not focus on family. Maybe you should not get married. I mean, I don't know why that's big.
It's maybe advice.
I'm not saying it's advice. What I'm saying is that this is so over the fucking top that everybody wants to take it out of context.
But do you see that though as well? What Sneako's saying there is now it's all of a sudden maybe you shouldn't do this, maybe you shouldn't do that. But that tweet was very do this. Here's
the guidelines. I mean? Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. Rollo Tomassi is married, and I'm pretty sure Rollo has kids. I think so. I would ask Rollo, do you consider yourself a high value man? Now, maybe he still managed to become a high value man through having children. So maybe you shouldn't be telling guys to get a vasectomy. Instead, if you do think that having a child is a handicap, and I can see the argument for that, when you have children, you got to allocate a lot of time and you got to be responsible for them. I can see the argument for that. But don't you think there's better ways to go about it than telling a guy to get a snip? The doctor tells you when you go to get a vasectomy, this could be permanent. And the older you get, the likelihood of it becoming permanent goes up. That's not up for debate. That is irrefutable. You can go online and look it up yourself. And pretty much every guy knows that. And Rollo knows that as well. And you said that it's a dummy-proof way. We're not supposed to be teaching guys dummy-proof ways to do anything. You're supposed to be teaching long-term discipline. Mm-hmm. That's what this whole red pill thing was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. The same rules apply to the gym and to diet. It's all long term. You don't say, go on the Biggest Losers or one of those dumb weight loss shows and lose 100 pounds. All the people that went on that show are fat again. All of them. It's not a foolproof way. Yeah, it might be a dummy proof way. It might be really quick. You might get results in 90 days. Is that really what you want? I mean, don't we get onto girls for getting BBLs? It's a surefire way to get guys looking at your ass. Get some implants instead of going to the gym and squatting.
Yeah, but that's the issue is everyone's looking for the quick route and the easy route and things in life that are going to be long lasting and never going to be something quick.
Yeah. That's exactly. You're supposed to put the work in for these things. Discipline is the key word here.
Yep.
Getting a vasectomy does not preach discipline. It is a cop-out. It is a cop-out. This would be the same for my anime watchers, right? This is the same as when Goku and Vegeta or Gohan go to fight some villain, and instead of Gohan training properly, they've got Senzu beans there. So every time he gets his ass whipped, they just pop a Senzu bean, he's back to 100%. But what's going to happen once he pops it? He's going to get fucked up again. Instead of going and training with Goku and Vegeta to get stronger. So half the people watching this don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. But everybody that watches anime knows what I'm talking about.
Which is exactly what you guys have been doing.
So what is it? Can you tell me what that tweet was if it wasn't advice?
It's not advice. What it is it's okay. It's saying that this is the most extreme way to do things. Okay. Here's the quickest path to, if I told you this, look, if I said the quickest way for you to make $1 million,
that sounds like advice,
is to go steal it from the bank or go to steal it. Does that mean
they didn't have to bring it up on screen? Whoever did that threw him under the bus.
The quickest path to becoming a high value man.
No. If it was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm cool with that. The first 3, there's too much contention there.
Yeah, as well, it's like you saying the quickest path to becoming a high value man and then putting numbers down below. It's like you're almost not stating it as a fact, but you're putting down this is the answers that you need, rather than just saying, in my opinion, these things will help you become a high value man. But obviously, if he writes it like that, he's not going to get the same sort of interaction. Mm-hmm. But he's written it a certain way. He knows what he's done here, and now he's backtracking on everything because he's been called out.
Let me ask Rollo a question, right? He's probably not going to watch this, but anyone that supports Rollo or this way of thinking, let's say that I wrote these 8 steps down, right? Let's say that it was the 90s. Twitter wasn't about, so I had to write this on a piece of paper. And I gave it to my 18-year-old cousin. And then I looked at him and said, it's not advice, but here. Yeah. He's going to look at him and be like, if it's not advice, what is it? It's a joke then. It's not a joke, but it's not advice. What is it exactly? Sneako has asked you a very direct question. Now, it's okay. You can look at something and go, I gave some dumb advice. You're a human being. It's okay. I think people would respect you more. We've got about, 300 videos on this channel? I'm sure that if I find a video way back when we started, I probably said some shit where I'm like, ugh. Probably shouldn't have said that. I know you have.
Wow.
But
Talk about put the knife in and pull it out.
but everyone makes mistakes. It's okay. Rollo could have just admitted, yeah, you know what? The vasectomy thing was dumb. Instead, he wants to die on this hill. And you are going to die on this hill, fam.
I'm telling you to go steal it. If I tell you to go fucking jump off a cliff, are you going to go jump off a cliff?
Right,
I'm also, by the way, here's the other thing is I'm also responding to Dr. Richard Reeves in this as well.
Okay, there's a lot of context about it, sure. But all the rest of the lists, you're equating vasectomy to lifting, game, play to your strength, resisting up on easing your focus. The rest of it sounds like general advice.
Okay, well let's say so let me ask you. So is it the vasectomy part that's throwing you off?
Really genuine good advice, right? The rest of it.
Is it the vasectomy part?
Yeah,
the vasectomy part. Do you agree with pretty much everything else except for the vasectomy part?
The first three is weird because then I don't even know what the red pill idea of a high value man is. Is it just being rich? Like, what's the point of having all this money and not having a family? Why be that rich? The guy who's always grinding. Whoa, Brandon Carter doesn't have to do his laundry. Sick. What else are you going to do with your life?
Right. Maybe this is actually meant so that you'll get it. You'll have a freaking epiphany about how all the shit that you have to sacrifice to get to that in the first place. What are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to live the kind of life, let's say like a Brandon Carter is, where you're going to outsource your entire life? Or are you going to actually have kids? Is that something that's a priority for you? Because I will tell you right now that if you follow this if you were to actually follow this list right here, that is the fastest way for you to get to a point where you are more high value, right? But here's the thing. So when I say that, people go, well, that's not what a high value man is. A high value man is what I define it as, which is he's got to have a good, loving, devoted wife. He's got to have 3 or 4 kids or 10 kids, depending on whatever culture you're talking about. All of this stuff that makes up whatever that person who happens to have that is, then that's suddenly the definition of what a high value man is. So what I'm saying this is the best way to become a high value man. I'm not saying this is the only way to become a high value man. I'm just saying that this is the fastest way to go and do something like that.
We've been talking a lot for 5 minutes. What is your definition of a high value man?
It doesn't matter. That's not what I was talking about in this.
It doesn't matter.
I know what you're talking about. That's what the first part of the tweet is: how to become a high value.
It doesn't matter. He asked you a direct question.
Yeah.
Just answer the fucking question.
But he can't.
Of course he can't. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is hilarious. Sneako's done a complete heel turn. This is like an anime hero arc.
But this is it. People always avoid having an actual open conversation and just answering questions when they know they're in the wrong.
They ask these girls similar questions all the time. And when the girls don't answer or don't want to answer or say, oh, it doesn't matter what I think, they dunk on them. Don't pretend like you ain't seen it. We've all seen it 100 times. Sneako asked him a very direct question. Now, maybe he's going to answer it. I doubt it based on the way this conversation is going. Doesn't seem to know what he's talking about.
The fastest way to become a high value man is to recognize the fact that you've got sacrifices to make. Okay.
So like what grandpa is telling like stories from Vietnam. Like, just say, what is a high value man? It's the first part of the tweet. What does that mean?
You tell me what a high value man is. Because here's the thing: is it doesn't matter what I'm going to say is a high value man. You guys don't fucking
because it's your fucking tweet.
It doesn't matter what I say is a fucking high value man, because everybody takes this. The point of the fucking tweet is that everybody is going to.
It does matter, because you said here are the 8 steps to become a high value man. If you don't know what a high value man is, what advice are you giving? What do these steps even mean?
It makes no sense. You're the one who's put this tweet out. You're the one who's giving this advice, but yet you can't elaborate on it.
You can't. You used the words high value man. That means that you understand what it means to be a high value man. It means you understand what a high value man is if you're going to give people steps. Just answer the question. It's not that hard.
Yeah, what is he preaching for if he doesn't really know?
And it doesn't matter. Let's say that Sneako's derailing it and he's not staying on topic. It doesn't matter. He's asking you what it is. Forget the tweet. We'll pass the tweet now. What is a high value man?
I think it's all relevant though, what Sneako's asking.
100%. Yeah. It's 100%, but just for the sake of arguing, if I was having a conversation with him, I'd say, okay, let's forget the tweet. Let's forget the vasectomy thing. Forget all of that. You just tell me what a high value man is. I don't care if you think what your opinion doesn't matter. And Rollo's opinion does matter because he's the godfather of the red pill community. So if anyone's opinion matters, it's his. He doesn't want to answer because he knows that the definition of a high value man varies from person to person, culture to culture. It's not going to be the same in every culture. You think a high value man that lives out in the sticks with people that are not assimilated with like modern civilization is going to be the same high value as one over here? Obviously not. The value that that person gives to their village is going to be completely different to what they give over here. They're going to live by a completely different set of rules. They'd still be considered high value. The problem is that you think there's a singular definition of what a high value man is, and there isn't. There's loads of ways to be high value. And high value in what way? High value to a singular person? You high value to your wife, or you high value to society? You don't even know what you're talking about.
Take this and then insert their own definition of what a fucking high value man is.
What if a high value man is having 12 kids when you're 16? Then your tweet doesn't work, does it? What if your definition of a high value man is being getting into a trade and having 5 kids by the time you're 22? Then it also high value man is being an esports professional.
You're absolutely making my point for me right here. Okay, this is what I'm saying.
My point is it high value man?
Also, if everyone's got a different definition of what a high value man is, then his 8 generic things are not going to be relevant to everybody's definition, because some person might think that being a father is a high value man, being there to support your kids, but he's saying the opposite. So it's not going to be relevant to everybody's individual idea of it. So therefore his point is invalid.
Yeah, I could think that I am high value because I work in the fire brigade, right? And I save people. I give people a chance for them to go home to their families, give them a second chance. That's high value. Maybe I don't want kids. Or maybe I'm like super religious and I want 6 children by the time I'm 22. And I want a wife that is going to stick by me. That's high value to me. I'm raising the next generation. I'm imparting my wisdom on them. I'm providing a good life for my wife. That means your 8 steps don't work. And look, I enjoy lifting. I tell guys to go to the gym, but you don't have to go to the gym to be a high value man. I would 100% encourage everybody to go to the gym, because I don't think it's just about getting a good body. It teaches discipline. But it doesn't mean that if you don't, because I've got friends that are very successful. They're good at a lot of different things. Like, you know, when you were at the house party, you had some of my friends in your face telling you how much money they make. You can tell they don't lift. But those guys provide another type of value to society.
I just don't know why he's avoiding giving his definition of it, because it's just not that deep, and it's like he's scared of what they might say when he gives his definition of it. He's scared of the pushback that's about to come. He's not prepared for it. What
Rollo is scared of is Rollo understands his position in all of this. He understands that if there was a throne, he would be sitting on it, and he understands he's about to get knocked off it.
Myron's rather quiet though.
Yeah, cool. Myron is quiet because, like I said before, Myron is not stupid. We might not like some of the things Myron says. We might not like the way he conducts himself, but he is not dumb. He knows what Rollo said is stupid.
But he was defending it in the other episode, and then now all of a sudden he's just there quiet.
Well, no, I think Myron, to give Myron credit, he does let these guys have their back and forth. When people are having an actual back and forth, he lets it rock.
Okay, because I haven't seen the full episode, so I don't know if he does eventually talk and if he's still defending him, but...
I've seen this full episode. He does defend Rollo in the beginning portions of it, and they were trying to get Rollo on the phone for a little while. I think they have a system that they need to boot up in order to get him on there. But Myron, the thing is that like Myron, Destiny, and Sneako were all kind of in alignment. And Destiny's a liberal, right? He's got, look at him. You can tell he's a liberal from a mile away. They were all in agreement of what a high value man is, or they understand the definition kind of varies, but they all had a rough idea. Fresh was just talking a whole bunch, you know what Fresh is like. I don't even know what he's doing there half the time. And then Rollo came on, and yeah, Myron went quiet because again, I think Myron's a good friend, and he doesn't want to throw his friend under the bus because he knows that this guy is sitting in front of the entire community, and this is going to get clipped and put everywhere of Sneako blowing him up. But I think Myron is being fair in not cutting them up, because he could very easily have said, no, we're not doing this, because he knows how it's going to go. But he let it rock, so I got to give him credit where credit's due.
You gave a list of 8 things. Do these 8 things to become a high value man. Do 1 through 8 to become A. And you're not defining what A is.
The fastest way to becoming a high value man is these things.
What is that?
Okay. So here's the thing. So if we're talking about family creation, we already talked. Okay, so you want to go? Okay, let's go one by one. You want to go one by one? Okay,
no,
so
I want to go before one by one. What is a high value man?
We can't have an argument if I don't even know what your definition
point is. The very fact that you're even asking me this in the first place is the actual point of the fucking tweet. Okay, so if you're going to be a high value man with the fucking hands tied behind your back, then what is that? What does that mean to you? That's the point. This whole discussion is the point of the fucking tweet. You guys,
the point of the tweet was, you've got some conception of a high value man. Here are 8 points that you think you need to do to get to it. And now you've gotten blown the fuck up on the vasectomy thing, which you probably realize is fucking retarded, but you're too old and stubborn to walk back from it. That's the point of this conversation.
I'm not too stubborn to fucking walk back from it, because the point of it was to get douche nozzles like yourself to fucking have this conversation in the first place.
How old are you, bro? Douche nozzles?
Yes. You guys are fucking idiots. Why do you guys come in here from fucking Twitch strap? Like, how you guys are legitimate in all of this? I don't know, because everything I've heard come out of you guys' mouth is just fucking confident ignorance.
For someone that talks about being stoic and keeping your emotions in check in a debate, to call someone a douche nozzle, you kind of invalidate everything you've ever said. With regards to that, this would be, what would they say? This is very feminine energy, Rollo.
I do agree with him where he says that everything that comes out of their mouth is confident ignorance. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, everything that comes out of Sneako and Destiny's mouth.
I've not seen enough of Destiny. But Sneako and Myron most of the time, not always, but most of the time.
Explain confident ignorance in what sense?
Okay, so maybe a lot of the topics to do with women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
confident ignorance in what sense?
I sound like him now.
Yeah, you need to explain what you meant.
Just in terms of like, so they're very ignorant to a lot of topics, and it's like they think that they're definitely right in everything that they say. Obviously, the way they both talk is very confident anyway, but half the time they're not always right, and they're very ignorant to okay, so for example, they might ask a girl on the show, what's your opinion on this? And she'll answer that question, and then they'll basically make out to her like she's lying, she's not telling the truth. And it's like, well, how can you tell her how she feels? You've asked her a question, she's answered it, and now you're being ignorant and acting like she's not telling the truth.
That's not confident ignorance, though. That's being dismissive of someone's point. What Sneako's doing right now is not confidence ignorance. He's just calling Rollo out on...
No, I'm not saying what Sneako's doing right now. I'm saying their characters in general more time.
Oh, well... Maybe, but like, I mean, with relation to this argument, Rollo has no grounds to say something like that.
In relation to this argument, Sneako's right, but the way Rollo just said it as well was everything that comes out of you guys' mouth. It didn't seem like he was talking on this topic right there and then. Is them as characters in general.
No, I think he's talking about this specifically.
Well, I've taken it indifferently, and that's my opinion.
Okay, cool.
I'm asking no, Myron. Okay, I'm not asking you like in terms of the debate. You call yourself the godfather of the red pill.
You call myself the godfather of the manosphere, okay? Other people have called me that.
Okay, great. That's very.
Do you understand?
Okay, so as
godfather or grandfather of the man, which one is it?
Whatever it is, the old guy of the manosphere. What is your definition of high value man? This is the #1 talked about topic on all of these shows. So I want to get a clear definition from you. What is it?
You tell again. It depends on the person. It depends on the culture. Depends on the. So here's the thing. Let me tell you. Maybe I can explain this to you, Sneako, because at least you got your ears open here. The thing is that when we're talking about what's the top G, what's a high value guy, you probably haven't heard this because you don't read my stuff and you don't watch my shit. No. But I've also said this is like the red pill has to be for everybody, or it's for nobody. So if we're looking at a guy who's draped across a Lamborghini and he's got hot chicks with him, and we say that's what I'm aspiring to, but I'll never make that because I live in a fucking fishing village on the coast of Chile, right? That means I can never match that high apex of a high value guy.
The guy in the car?
But the guy who happens to live in those villages or happens to be in a different culture or in a different country or whatever else, he can still benefit from that because however he's defining himself as a high value man in his fishing village, maybe that's what he can aspire to.
This has nothing to do with Chile and the village in the car.
See, here's the thing: is you guys want me to say, okay, a high value man makes $100,000 a year. He's fucked 50 chicks. He's got like that's the thing. That's
not what I want you to say. I disagree with that. I'm asking you because I come on this all the time.
Disagree with it. What I'm saying is the point of the tweet is so you will ask that question.
I'm past the tweet. I'm past that. Look, I'm asking as somebody who's really interested in the red pill. I listen to a lot of this content. I want to know what your definition is, because if you have a definition that's completely off of what I think it is, then I guess I'm not red pill.
Well, here's what I think guys ought to do. Would you like me to give you some prescriptions? Is that what we're trying for here?
No, I want to know your opinion of a high value man. What is it?
I think a high value man is whatever is contextually makes that guy a high value guy in whatever culture that he happens to be in. If that's money, that's money. Right now, that's what we tend to focus on right now.
You see this politician level dodging. We don't need this whole spiel about guys in Chile or whatever the fuck you were talking about. Just explain what you think a high value man is. Very simple. This word high value gets thrown around constantly. You would think you know what you're talking about. Now we know that you don't know what you're talking about. At least now when you title a video that way or you bring up this topic, now we know.
He would have been better off just staying quiet and letting everyone have their opinion.
Yeah, what you should have done is not join the chat, because you joined the chat thinking you were probably going to school these two. You've made yourself look dumb. We don't really need to watch the rest of it. I mean, if you guys want to see the rest of this, I would encourage you to go watch the full 2 hours and 30 minutes of this podcast. It is actually very interesting. Again, I think Myron was trying to protect his boy. I think he did the best he could. I think the reason he stayed quiet was because he knows that Rollo put his foot in it.
You can only help someone so much.
Yeah, shout outs to Myron, man. That's a good friend, because this was a whole bunch of bullshit.